أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الخلق وعز المرسلين، حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters, and welcome to an occasion that we celebrate tonight, the celebration of the birth anniversary of Sayyeda Masooma alayhi salam. We offer our congratulations to the Imam of our time, Imam Sahib al-Asr wal-Zaman, on this celebration, on the niece of Imam al-Qadim, on the condolences of, and my condolences and my correction, inshallah. Inshallah, we will begin tonight's commemoration with the recitation of the Holy Quran, welcomed by our little brother Jawad, followed by Ziyarat Ali Yasin by our brother Haj Muhammad Naki. Welcome him with the Salat ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. صاد والقرآن ذي الذكر بل الذين كفروا في عزة وشقاق. كم أهلكنا من قبلهم من قرن فنادوا ولا تحين مناص. وعجبوا أن جاءهم منذر منهم وقال الكافرون هذا ساحر كذاب. أجعل الآلهة إلها واحدا إن هذا لشيء عجاب. وانطلق الملأ منهم أن امشوا واصبروا على آلهتكم إن هذا لشيء يراد. ما سمعنا بهذا في الملة الآخرة إن هذا إلا اختلاق. أأنزل عليه الذكر من بيننا بل هم في شك من ذكري بل لما يذوقوا عذاب. أم عندهم خزائن رحمة ربك العزيز الوهاب. أم لهم ملك السماوات والأرض وما بينهما فليرتقوا في الأسباب. جند ما هنالك مهزوم من الأحزاب. كذبت قبلهم قوم نوح وعاد وفرعون ذو الأوتاد. وثمود قوم لوط وأصحاب الأيكة أولئك الأحزاب. إن كل إلا كذب الرسل فحق عقاب. وما ينظر هؤلاء إلا صيحة واحدة ما لها من فواق. وقالوا ربنا عجل لنا قطنا قبل يوم الحساب اصبر على ما يقولون واذكر عبدنا داود ذا الأيد إنه أواب إنا سخرنا الجبال معه يسبحن بالعشي والإشراق والطير محشورة كل له أواب وشددنا ملكه وآتيناه الحكمة وفصل الخطاب وهل أتاك نبأ الخصم إذ تسوروا المحراب إذ دخلوا على داود ففزع منهم قالوا لا تخف خصمان بغى بعضنا على بعض فاحكم بيننا بالحق ولا تشطط واهدنا إلى سواء الصراط إن هذا أخي له 99 نعجة ولي نعجة واحدة فقال أكفلنيها وعزني في الخطاب قال لقد ظلمك بسؤال نعجتك إلى نعاجه وإن كثيرا من الخلطاء ليبغي بعضهم على بعض إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وقليل ما هم وظن داود أنما فتناه فاستغفر ربه وخر راكعا وأناب فغفرنا له ذلك وإن له عندنا لزلفى وحسن مآب يا داود إنا جعلناك خليفة في الأرض فاحكم بين الناس بالحق ولا تتبع الهوى فيضلك عن سبيل الله إن الذين يضلون عن سبيل الله لهم عذاب شديد بما نسوا يوم الحساب وما خلقنا السماء والأرض وما بينهما باطلا ذلك ظن الذين كفروا فويل للذين كفروا من النار صدق الله العلي العظيم.
ياسين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. سلام على آل ياسين. السلام عليك يا داعي الله ورباني آياته. السلام عليك يا باب الله وديان دينه. السلام عليك يا خليفة الله وناصر حقه. السلام عليك يا حجة الله ودليل إرادته. السلام عليك يا تالي كتاب الله وترجمانه. السلام عليك يا في آناء ليلك وأطراف نهارك. السلام عليك يا بقية الله في أرضه. السلام عليك يا ميثاق الله الذي أخذه ووكده. السلام عليك يا وعد الله الذي ذمنا. السلام عليك أيها العلم المنسوب والعلم المسبوب والغوث والرحمة الواسعة وعدا غير مكذوب. السلام عليك حين تقوم. السلام عليك حين تقعد. السلام عليك حين تقرأ وتبين. السلام عليك حين تصلي وتقنت. السلام عليك حين تركع وتسجد. السلام عليك حين تهلل وتكبر. السلام عليك حين تحمد وتستغفر. السلام عليك حين تصبح وتمسي. السلام عليك في الليل إذا يغشى والنهار إذا تجلى. السلام عليك أيها الإمام المأمون. السلام عليك أيها المقدم المعمول. السلام عليك بجوامع السلام. أشهدك يا مولاي أني أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأن محمدًا عبده ورسوله لا حبيب إلا هو وأهله. وأشهدك يا مولاي أن عليا أمير المؤمنين حجته، والحسن حجته، والحسين حجته، وعلي بن الحسين حجته، ومحمد بن علي حجته، وجعفر بن محمد حجته، وموسى بن جعفر حجته، وعلي بن موسى حجته، ومحمد بن علي حجته، وعلي بن محمد حجته، والحسن بن علي حجته. وأشهد أنك حجة الله، أنتم الأول والآخر، وأن رجعتكم حق لا ريب فيها، يوم لا ينفع نفسا إيمانها لم تكن آمنت من قبل أو كسبت في إيمانها خيرا، وأن الموت حق، وأن ناكرا ونكيرا حق. وأشهد أن النشر حق والبعث حق، وأن الصراط حق، والمرصاد حق، والميزان حق، والحشر حق، والحساب حق، والجنة والنار حق، والوعد والوعيد بهما حق. يا مولاي شقي من خالفكم وسعد من أطاعكم، فاشهد على ما أشهدتك عليه وأنا ولي لك بريء من عدوك. فالحق ما رضيتموه والباطل ما أسخطتموه، والمعروف ما أمرتم به والمنكر ما نهيتم عنه. فنفسي مؤمنة بالله وحده لا شريك له وبرسوله وبأمير المؤمنين وبكم يا مولاي أولكم وآخركم، ونصرتي معدة لكم ومودتي خالصة لكم. آمين آمين. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وشفيع ذنوبنا أبي القاسم مصطفى محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. If you can hear me, my dear brothers and sisters, then recite with me, inshallah. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كل وليك الحجة بن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا محافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. وصل اللهم يا ربي على محمد وآله الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah to all my dear brothers and sisters in Sydney, Australia. I'm not sure if you can hear me very well. If Hajj Ali could just write next to all the messages if you've got my sound clear enough. Ahsantum, jazakumullah khair. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. First of all, my condolences on all of the mu'mineen and mu'minat around the world, but especially with you guys there in Sydney, Australia, Imam Hussein Islamic Center. And I say my salams to you from the Haram and from the blessed precinct of Sayyeda Al-Masooma salamullahi alayha. My apologies if the sound and if the video is not clear enough for you. Please forgive me. I don't know what the internet issue was, so forgive me for the delay. But inshallah, with the barakah of being in the holy precinct of Sayyeda Al-Masooma, we can benefit from being in her presence, and inshallah, we can start the discussion. So, inshallah, with the discussion of Sayyeda Al-Masooma salamullahi alayha, I wanted to break down the discussion into 3 or 4 different areas. Firstly, the city of Qom itself. So, as some of the brothers and sisters may know, the city of Qom was actually a city that welcomed Sayyeda Masooma when she was en route to visit Imam al-Rada alayhi salam. Which, inshallah, begs the question as to what was the actual history behind this city initially, prior to the holy presence of Sayyeda Masooma salamullahi alayha, and what is it that actually transpired prior to her presence in this city. So I'd like to take you back towards the time of around Imam al-Baqir and Imam al-Sadiq sallallahu alayhi, and just give you a brief introduction as to how this city became a hub for the Shia of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. In the time of Imam al-Baqir and Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam, the Shia in Kufa, and in particular a tribe known as the Ash'ari tribe, were of course under persecution from the tyrant dynasty of the Bani Umayyads and thereafter the Bani Abbas. And the tribe of the Ash'ari tribe were a huge tribe in the city of Kufa. They were a tribe full of scholars and warriors and strong men and women. And when they were uprising against specifically Hajjaj bin Yusuf al-Thaqafi, rahmatullah alayh, they decided to leave the city of Kufa and they decided to migrate. When this Ash'ari tribe migrated from Iraq, they traveled towards the eastern side of Iraq and thereafter they entered into what you and I know today as Western Iran. And when they did so, they moved through different cities. Of course, at that time, Iran had only for the last maybe 30, 40 years had become a Muslim country. It was conquered by Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, and this was, of course, the father of Umar bin Sa'd, the enemy of Imam Hussein on the day of Ashura. So the irony is that it was conquered by such people. But thereafter, this Ash'ari tribe, who were a tribe of scholars and warriors, and a very noble tribe, they ended up descending in this city called Qom, as you and I know it. And when they came here, this Ash'ari tribe, of course, originally Kufan, originally Iraqi, they were speaking Arabic and they had knowledge of the Quran and they had in-depth knowledge of ahadith of the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. When they settled here in the city of Qom and they created a pact with the tribesmen that were living here already, they showed their knowledge and their skills in war and defending the tribal people here in the city of Qom. And a unanimous decision was made that the Ash'ari tribe were to be the ones who would now rule the city of Qom. But they ruled it not in an oppressive way, rather, they ruled it in a way where they began to teach the teachings of Islam, the teachings of Ahlul Bayt, salam, and in particular, the riwayat and the ahadith of Ahlul Bayt. Salam. Now imagine, this is the end of the fifth Imam, beginning of the sixth Imam, salam, and that period, that golden period whereby Shia Islam was flourishing. Of course, you have to remember that the majority of our riwayat of the Ahlul Bayt salam come from Imam al-Baqir and Imam al-Sadiq salawatullah wasalam. Please recite salawat in honor of these two great Imams of ours. Wow. So the scene is set. Qom has now become a hub of Tashayyu'. Tashayyu' here is flourishing under the tutelage of the Ash'ari tribe, the tribe where they have great knowledge of the Quran, but in particular the riwayat of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. To the extent that the A'imma alayhim salam in Medina and thereafter in Kufa were was suggesting to the people of Kufa to now migrate and go and live in the city of Qom. So, in that context, we have a hub of Tashayyu', and now we start seeing the riwayat from Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam in particular about the city of Qom and about their inhabitants. So let me share with you a beautiful riwayah of Imam al-Sadiq salawatullah wa salamu alayhi, and that is the following. He says that inna lillahi haramun fahuwa Makkah. Certainly for Allah there is a haram, and that is the city of Makkah. Wa inna li rasulihi haramun fahuwa al-Madinah. And certainly for the Holy Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi is a haram, and that is the city of Medina. وإن لأمير المؤمنين عليه السلام حرم فهو كوفة. Certainly for the city, or certainly for Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, there is a city, and that is the city of Kufa. وإن لنا حرم. And for us, the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, we have a home, we have a city. I.e., Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam is saying, the very city that belongs to us, our home place, the one most beloved to us, is the city of none other than Qom al-Muqaddasa. So now, with the context in the mind that the tribe of Ash'ari and the other scholars that were migrating from the city of Kufa in particular, those people who had memorized ahadith, those people who had written down in books ahadith and now were slowly transferring it to the city of Qom, this now became a hub for Imam al-Sadiq. And if you were to fast forward past Sayyeda Masooma, you'll come to know that all of our authentic books of ahadith So, for example, Al-Kafi by Sheikh Al-Kulayni. For example, Man La Yahduru Al-Faqih of Sheikh Al-Saduq. For example, all of the teachers of these two great ulama. So, for example, Sheikh Al-Saduq's father. For example, all of the teachers of Sheikh Al-Kulayni, they, distributed these riwayat and these ahadith in this very city of Qom. So this city, brothers and sisters, has a huge history, in particular with the ulama, even way before the revolution of Iran. This city was a hub for the teachings of Ahlul Bayt alayhi to be dispersed and taught to the ulama. So, with that introduction with the city of Qom, we go now to the second part of the talk, and that is, how is it that Sayyida Masooma salamullahi alayha came to settle in this city, and what was the history behind it? And inshallah, thereafter we can talk a little bit more about what we can learn from this journey. Sayyida Masooma salamullahi alayha was one of 37 children of who? Of none other than Imam Musa ibn Ja'far salawatullah wa salamu alayhi. And as you know, Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam, of course, went through one of the most difficult periods of imamah from amongst all of our A'imma alayhi salam. For many years, the Imam was in prison. But out of these 37 children of Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam, I want to highlight something very important, and that's the following. Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam was married to a woman, a great woman, a very noble woman who ended up becoming the great grandmother of four different Imams after Imam al-Kadhim salawatullah by the name of Sayyida Narjis Khatun. Interestingly, brothers and sisters, to note is the following. Out of 37 children of Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam, Narjis Khatun salamullahi alayha had one son, and that was Imam Rada alayhi salam. And she bore this son and no other children for 25 years. Allahu Akbar. 25 years, Imam Rada alayhi salam, from this particular mother, had no other siblings. He had half brothers and half sisters from other wives of Imam al-Kadhim. But for 25 years, Imam Rada alayhi salam was without a full brother or a full sister. Until, of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed Imam al-Kadhim, and in particular Narjis Khatun, with a noble daughter, and that was none other than Fatima Al-Masooma salamullahi alayha. Of course, her name is Fatima, and her laqab, her title is Masooma, and that came afterwards. This already is a point to note, brothers and sisters, and that is the critical and crucial role that our mothers play in society. One thing is that we see is a sunnah of the Quran and a sunnah in riwayat, and that is the importance of mothers and how they raise their children. With all due respect to the fathers out there, we can do a good job with our children, but it is the purity and it's the commitment and it's the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the mother that has the greatest effect on the children. Look in history. If you look at the brothers of Yusuf alayhi salam, you'll find that it is only Yusuf alayhi salam and Benjamin that come from the same mother. Otherwise, Yusuf alayhi salam shares different brothers and sisters from different wives of Yaqub alayhi salam. And it was the purity of the mother, Yusuf and Benjamin, that allowed them to be steadfast in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Or let me share with you a different example. If you look at the day of Jamal, the day of Jamal was a day whereby on one side of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam was Ammar ibn Yasir, was Amir al-Mu'mineen, was all the other great companions, Malik ibn Ashtar of Amir al-Mu'mineen. And on the other side, of course, were the enemies of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Talha, Zubair, the wife of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, had come to fight Amir al-Mu'mineen. Interestingly though, on the side of Amir al-Mu'mineen was Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr. Of course, Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr and Aisha, the wife of the Holy Prophet, were brothers and sisters. But interestingly, they came from different mothers. You remember, the mother of Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr, a lady by the name of Asma bint al-Umais. Now look at the way that this lady, Asma bint al-Umais, was sought after by the noblemen of Medina. Initially, she was married to who? Ja'far al-Tayyar. She gave birth to Abdullah ibn Ja'far, who ended up being the husband of Sayyida Zainab. When the Tayyar passed away, the first Khalifa proposed to her and they were married. When they got married, she gave birth to Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr. On the passing of the first Khalifa, none other than Amir al-Mu'mineen married Asma bint al-Umais and raised Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr in their home. But look at the purity and the difference between Asma and the mother of the wife of the Prophet. On the day of Jamal, the purity of that mother dictates that Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr is on one side and the wife of the Holy Prophet is on the other side. So look at the importance. The same thing with Imam Rada alayhi salam and Sayyida Fatima Al-Masooma. The purity of their mother dictated that they were to be recognized as great personalities, Ma'soom and Ma'sooma, until the end of time. So this is the first thing. Sayyida Ma'sooma, during her young age, she was, of course, under the tutelage of her father, Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam, and because of the difference of age, 25-year gap between herself and Imam Rada alayhi salam, she was now having the shadow of Imam Rada alayhi salam around her as well. So imagine Imam al-Kadhim and Imam Rada, almost like a second father to Fatima Ma'sooma. And there is a beautiful story that dictates what can happen if someone like herself is born and raised in the house of Noor. Let me share with you this story. You probably heard it before, but these are one of the stories that is narrated from Sayyida Ma'sooma. One time, Imam al-Kadhim was not in the city of Medina at that time, and a group of Shia ulama had come to visit Imam al-Kadhim to ask him several questions. When they traveled far away and they found that Imam al-Kadhim was not home. When they said to the person who answered the door that we have questions, we've come a long way, the response was the following. Inna fi dari Fatima. In this house is a young girl by the name of Fatima. Why did they say that? They said that for the following reason. And that was that Fatima bint Musa bin Ja'far Al-Masooma was a lady of great knowledge, even at a small young age. This story happens approximately when she's about 6 years of age. They hand the letters over, or they hand the questions over, and Sayyida Ma'sooma alayhi salam takes the letters. She looks through all of the questions that they had, and she begins to dictate to them the correct answers. Now, at that time, you have to understand that not only was she a young girl, but she was, of course, a female, and the expectation of to have the knowledge or the answers to the correct questions was not really there. When these people returned on their way back to their destination, they see Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam on the way home. And what did they say? They said that, yeah, Imam al-Kadhim, we met your daughter Fatima, and these were the answers that she gave us. And he says to them that, pass me these letters. He opens them and he sees the responses that were dictated to him. And he says 3 times the same line that Sayyida Zahra alayhi salam and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi wa salawat. Allahumma salli alayhi. The same line that the Holy Messenger said to Fatima to Zahra, he says the following, that may your father be sacrificed for you. 3 times the Holy Messenger said that to Sayyida Zahra, and the same thing for Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam. He said the following after he said, may her father be sacrificed to her, i.e. may Imam al-Kadhim himself be sacrificed to Fatima. He said the following, Ma hakamat illa bihukmillah, that she has not judged and she has not given judgment except with the hukm of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, i.e. he stamped the approval of the answers that she gave. This is the second practical point for us to take home, brothers and sisters. One of the most important and life-changing, or I should say, final destination changing qualities that you and I can have is the quality of knowledge. It is so important, regardless of whether we're male or female. For the Holy Prophet ﷺ said the famous hadith that is quoted amongst the other schools of thought. It's famous amongst our community. It's definitely a hadith that we find as well. That طلب العلم فريضة على كل مسلم ومسلمة. Seeking knowledge is wajib. No, it's a step higher. It's imposed on every single Muslim and Muslim. And you and I need to ask us the question. Of course, with our busy schedules, our working life, children at home, brothers and sisters, it is imperative that we continue our journey until the day we pass away in learning more and more things about the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, gaining more ma'rifah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, learning more things that the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam have taught us, learning a single ayah of the Quran, even if it's bite-sized objectives. Every week, a new ayah of the Quran. Even every month, a new ayah of the Quran that you've learned and you've been able to implement. And thereafter, teach it to your families. This journey of continuously learning is absolutely imperative. And this is the second thing that Sayyeda Masooma sallallahu alayhi teaches us, that this gaining of knowledge, even at young age, is imperative. So, if we were to look, for example, at our family life, it shouldn't be the case that we, for example, leave our children to learn Islam when they go to the madrasa, or, for example, learn it when they come to the centers. The real madrasa of our children, the real madrasa of our families starts at home. No doubt about it. Let me show you a quick story that happened to me many years ago, maybe about 12 years ago now, before I came to the holy city of Qom. In London, in our local center, we were teaching the madrasa for young boys and girls. I remember very vividly that it was Salah time, and we were trying to get the brothers, the young boys and girls, into the lines for Salat al Jama'ah. And of course, these kids are 10, 11, 8, that kind of age. And it was a struggle to, of course, get them to sit down and be quiet and everything. And once the Salah had finished, I was responsible to go outside, open the door, and make sure the children get to their parents safely. And when I opened the door, I saw that all the parents were outside waiting for their children, either on their phone or they were waiting outside in the car. And I thought to myself, subhanAllah, we were pressurizing these children in a gentle way to get ready for Salah and pray their Salah in Jama'ah and everything. But the parents were outside. And it struck a chord with me that the real teaching or the real impartation of this commitment to Salah and commitment to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's deen is that it has to start from us as parents, it has to start from us as home. Then only we can raise children by the age of 6 years of age, like Sayyeda Masooma, to be so engrossed and intertwined with the knowledge of the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wassalam. Peace be upon them. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. So, brothers and sisters, Sayyida Masooma salamullahi alayha, this is her holy father, Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam, at the tender age of 10 years of age. SubhanAllah. We're seeing right now how many young boys and girls are losing their parents as we speak over the last 2 weeks, and how heartbreaking that is for these young children to be orphaned in such a barbaric way. The same way we share this sentiment with Sayyida Masooma, that she was orphaned at a very tender age, at the age of 10 years of age. However, as I mentioned, at this moment in time, her dear brother, Imam Rada, salawatullah alayhi, was the age of 35 here. And now suddenly, Imam Rada alayhi salam doesn't just become a older brother for Sayyida Masooma, rather he becomes a father figure, a real stand-in father figure in the absence of Imam al-Kadhim, salawatullah salam. Now, this takes us to our third discussion, and that's the following. What role did Sayyida Masooma salamullahi alayha play in the city of Medina itself? So, one of the major movements of Tashayyu at the time of Imam Rada alayhi salam was the expansion of the understanding, especially of Imama, and especially of understanding the tenets of our theology from the blessed tongue of Imam Rada alayhi salam. Imam Rada alayhi salam, as you know, towards the end of his life, he migrated to the city of Mashhad, Khurasan. But the bulk of Imam Rada alayhi salam's life was none other than in the city of Medina, the city of his blessed grandfather. Now, whilst in the city of Medina, Imam Rada alayhi salam began to spread out his network of followers. He began to spread out the network of scholars that would sit with him, that would read and listen to the riwayat that Imam Rada alayhi salam was saying, and they would begin to write. It was one of the golden times of disseminating hadith pertaining to theology. So, for example, in our day and age, right now, in Sydney, Australia, in London, UK, in the Western countries, the main theological discussions that are being pushed out there, for example, the belief in God, for example, problems of evil, for example, all of the things that we're seeing in terms of atheism being on the rise, secularism being on the rise, all of the discussions pertaining to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His existence, etc. Most of what we get in terms of our argument and in terms of our explanation are the crystallization of the discussions Imam Rada alayhi salam was having where? In the holy city of Medina. Allahu Akbar. For each and every Imam that we see, they have a tender role to play. For example, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam had the role of expanding knowledge. For example, of ruling as a Khalifa. So he gave his role a Hakim of that place. Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam exposing nifaq and having the role of being patient and protecting the ummah. Imam Hussein salawatullah alayhi rising and doing away with injustice, abiding by Amr bil Ma'ruf, taking away Nahi al Munkar, and rising to become the Sayyid al Shuhada. Imam al Sajjad alayhi salam inculcating to us a spiritual Irfan project that was Irfan al Haqiqi from none other than the Ahl al Bayt alayhi salam. Imam al Baqir, Imam al Sadiq, breaking open the knowledge in terms of fiqh, especially in terms of fiqh. But when you come towards Imam al-Kadhim, as well as especially Imam Rada, their main role was the expansion of theological discussions. That's why you see during Medina, as well as when he leaves to go to Khurasan in Mashhad, you'll see the bulk of the riwayat and the bulk of the ahadith are exchanges of discussions with Imam Rada alayhi salam against, for example, atheists, against, for example, the people of Ahl al-Kitab, the Jews and the Christians, especially against, for example, the Ahl al-Sunnah wal Jama'ah. And you'll see that Imam Rada alayhi salam was expanding this network. However, this is what is beautiful about the relationship between Imam Rada alayhi salam and that of Fatima Al-Masooma. He did not stop at just narrating riwayat and breaking open these theological discussions amongst men. Rather, he selected this holy lady that rests behind us, Sayyeda Fatima, and he said, Ya Fatima, you be my network amongst the sisters and amongst the women folk from our Shia. And you now just start to disseminate our riwayat amongst the sisters and begin your network of expansion of this knowledge. So, Sayyida Ma'sooma sallallahu alayha began disseminating ahadith. She began teaching the tafasir of the Quran of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, her grandfather. And what did she say? Some of the riwayat that you mentioned, of course, are riwayat that we use even until today. I'll give you an example. One of the narrations that Sayyida Fatima Al-Masooma sallallahu alayha narrates is the following. It says Fatima Al-Masooma. So Fatima, the daughter of Imam Al-Kadhim alayhi salam, who narrates from Fatima, the daughter of Imam Al-Sadiq sallallahu alayhi, who narrates from Fatima, the daughter of Imam Al-Baqir alayhi salam, who narrates from Fatima, the daughter of Imam Al-Sajjad, who narrates from Fatima, the daughter of Imam Al-Hussein, who narrates from Zainab Al-Kubra, Al-Masahib, who narrates from Fatima bint Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. Recite salawat, please. This is known as the chain of the Fawatim. Amongst her women folk, amongst the peers, amongst herselves in the city of Medina, she narrates the following hadith. She says, قال رسول الله جدي صلى الله عليه وآله من كنت مولاه فهذا علي مولاه اللهم وال من والاه وعاد من عاداه وانصر من نصره واخذل من خذله. One of the most important riwayat that we have, subhanallah, one of the most plethora in terms of its narration that has reached the stage of tawatur, unequivocally, undoubted hadith from the Holy Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. One of those hadith that is not contested amongst any school of thought is the hadith of Ghadir. One of the responsibilities of Fatima Al-Masooma was that she would narrate the hadith of Ghadir. Another hadith she narrated is so pertinent for you and me today. Brothers and sisters, let me share with you this hadith and a small story from, again, the life of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. If you can hear me and you can see me clearly, recite another loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Sayyida Fatima narrates the following ahadith to the circle of her female Shia. She says the following. She says, Ala ومن مات على حب محمد مات شهيدا. Subhanallah. She says, whoever dies on the path of the love. My apologies, I cut your salawat because of the delay. I'm going to ask you to recite it again, and inshallah I'll give you a moment to recite it. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. She narrates this hadith that whoever dies on the love of my father and his holy progeny dies the death of a shaheed. Now, brothers and sisters, for us living in the 21st century, this hadith of Sayyeda Fatima Al-Masooma sallallahu alayha is absolutely critical. Let me tell you why. Sometimes, and especially in days like that we are right now, we start to think to ourselves that, we're in a state of despair. We can't really do things to help our brothers and sisters around the world. Or, for example, we're in a situation where we're disconnected from different parts of the world and we feel that, we're not really able to do much. And our heart goes out to our brothers and sisters who are suffering right now. This hadith of Sayyida Fatima, when I listened to it and I thought to mention it to you, brothers and sisters, I thought, subhanAllah, how pertinent and how in sync the words of Sayyida Fatima, of course, from her grandfather, how in sync it is with what we're going through today. Let me give you a reason why. You see, when we say whoever dies on the death, whoever dies on the love, I should say, of my grandfather and the Ahlul Bayt, what does that even mean? And forgive me right now, but I'm going to go slightly deeper if you give me permission to. You see, we have in different riwayat that love for the Ahlul Bayt is a double-edged sword. Ala alaysa deen illa al-hubb wal-bughd, the hadith says. Is deen anything other than love and hatred? What does that mean? When we say that whoever dies on the love of Rasulullah and his holy progeny, it also means whoever dies on the love of the Holy Prophet and his progeny, and at the same time has dissociated their hearts at least from that which is evil and those things that are being executed by evil people. Is the deen anything other than love and hatred? Love for that which is good and hatred for that which is evil. On the day of judgment, there will be three groups of people that Allah will call out to, saying that you will enter Jannah with no hisab and kitab. You will enter Jannah with no accounting whatsoever. One of those groups of people are those people who used to love in the way of Allah and used to hate in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They would love anything that is goodness, anything that's connected to Allah, anything that's connected to Rasulullah and his family and his teachings, and they would dissociate and they would detest from anything that was evil, anything that was against the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This group of people on the day of judgment, Allah will call out with a caller and they would say, where are the people that used to love for the sake of Allah and used to hate for the sake of Allah? Where are these people? And these people will be brought forward. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would say, enter into Jannah with no hisab and no accounting whatsoever. Brothers and sisters, the least that you and I can do in a time like this is implement the hadith that Sayyeda Masooma quotes from her holy grandfather Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Having this intense love for that which is good, intense hatred to that which is evil, is part and parcel. No, it's the very fabric of our deen itself. SubhanAllah. You know, sometimes as well, even though we might have that internally, and you may think internally, I've got that love, I've got that hatred to that which is evil, but you know, still can't really do anything. In spite of that, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam tells us, you and I, that love that you have for that which is good and that hatred that you have for that which is evil, that is very, very, it has a high qima in the eyes of Amir al-Mu'mineen. It has a high value in terms of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Let me share you a story regarding the Battle of Jamal again, and I'll explain to you why your emotion and your commitment to that which is true and your hatred to that which is batil has such a high value. You know, before the Battle of Jamal took place, Aisha, Talha, and Zubayr were in the city of Basra. When they were in the city of Basra, they came across the Baytul Mal, the money of all of the people that were there. And they locked the Baytul Mal with 3 padlocks. One padlock, the key was with Aisha. The second padlock, the key was with Talha. And the third padlock, the key was with Zubayr. And they said, once we've done with Ali ibn Abi Talib, salawatullah wa salamu alayhi, once we're done with him and his army, we'll come back and we'll split the Baytul Mal amongst us. When Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam was victorious over the wife of the Holy Prophet Talha and Zubayr, he comes back to the city of Basra and he orders for the Baytul Mal to be opened. So they break the 3 locks, they open the Baytul Mal and they see that it's filled with gold and silver. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam begins to distribute the gold and silver equally amongst all of the people that fought alongside him in the Battle of Jamal. As you know, the Battle of Jamal was a difficult battle. It was in the heat. It was a long distance from the city of Medina. And the people had really committed themselves and they had that basira, that insight to where haqq lies. When he begins to distribute the Baytul Mal, he is left with the last portion for himself. When he takes that last portion for himself, equal portions for everyone else. Suddenly, a man comes. Now, this is really interesting what happens here. Suddenly, the man comes, a man from his mu'alim, he comes to Amir al-Mu'mineen and he says, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, I didn't fight with you on the day of Jamal, but my heart was with you on the day of Jamal. And I wish I was there participating in the Battle of Jamal alongside you against the enemies of Allah. Do you give me a reward, the same reward as the other people? Allahu Akbar. Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullah wa salamu alayhi takes his own partial or his own portion of the Baytul Mal and he gives it to this man. And he says to him that the very fact that you wished to be alongside us fighting in my cause, in the way of Allah, it is equal to you of that of you fighting with me. And in another place in Nahj al-Balagha, he says, not only those people who wish to be with us but weren't able to be with us now, those young women in the wombs of their mothers, and those young sons in the loins of their fathers that have not participated with me today, but they longed to be with us today, even they are a sharik, even they are a partner in the thawab of fighting with me on the day of Jamal. Which means what for you and I, brothers and sisters? Man mata ala hubbi ali Muhammadin mata shahida. Those people who die on the love of Rasulullah and his holy progeny, they die the death of a shaheed. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam is saying to you and I, don't think that the time difference that you and I have is a separation from you and the Imam of the time, or you and Amir al-Mu'mineen. No. If you and I are able to align our hearts and able to align our thoughts, our ideology, our practical implementation, what we do at home, what we do at work, what we watch online, what we watch on TV, how our Islamic outlook is, how our ideology is, how our family setup is, what we wear, who we speak to, what we eat, where we go, whose company we sit in. If all of this can be in sync with Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, in sync with Imam Rada, in sync with Fatima Masooma, you and I become part and parcel of the mission of Ahlul Bayt. You know, in the city of Kufa, there's a beautiful hadith that demonstrates this very understanding between Kumail ibn Ziyad. I'm assuming that you had a program yesterday in IHIC, Dua Kumail. Kumail ibn Ziyad al-Nakhai, who narrates the Dua Kumail from Amir al-Mu'mineen. Amir al-Mu'mineen, sallallahu alayhi, says a famous hadith to Kumail. He says, Ya Kumail, لا تأخذ إلا عنا تكن منا. Do not take from anyone other than us, Ya Kumail. You'll become part and parcel of us. You and I have the potential to become part and parcel of the Ahlul Bayt. How so? As long as we're able to attach to their teaching, as long as we're able to love for the sake of Allah and the Ahlul Bayt, and have hatred away from that which they despise. So this hadith is an extremely important hadith for us today, this day and age. The fourth area of my discussion is the following, and that is that there came a point in time when Imam Rada, of course, was summoned to the city of Mashhad. And now we're coming towards the end of the life of Sayyeda Fatima. He was summoned to the city of Mashhad, and at that time, of course, it was a very sensitive political period. Now, when Imam Rada is in the city of Mashhad, Sayyida Fatima Al-Masooma remains where? In the city of Medina. And look at the power that a young woman at the age of 28, a young unmarried woman at the age of 28, look how much power speaking the truth and having a network of women of taqwa, women built on the values of her grandfather and her grandmother, how her spread of knowledge and how her circles, her underground, grassroots level work, how much of an effect that can have on the dynasties and the rulers of the time. Sayyeda Fatima Masooma, if you want to say in our local language of the day, the language of the 21st century, especially to all those younger brothers and sisters that are listening to me right now, especially to those younger sisters between the age of, for example, 15 and 30. If you want to say it in our lingo of today, Sayyida Fatima Masooma sallallahu alayha was one of the most important influences in the city of Medina. Subhanallah. As you have today followers following different influences on Instagram and whatnot, all the other social media platforms, and the way that they can have an influence on people. For example, how some Instagram channels in these last few days have suddenly been shut down because of the amount of influence they can have on portraying real truth. Sayyida Fatima Masooma had begun such an impeccable network of people learning the teachers of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. She had become a very high influencer in the city of Medina. And now she was starting to now influence in the ideology of real wilayah of the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam. Some of the historians suggest that because of her role that she played in Medina, she was now summoned, or she was advised by Imam Rada alayhi salam to come towards the city of Mashhad now, because her life was in danger in the city of Medina. And not only her life, but also all of the other Banu Hashim that were protecting her in the city of Medina. She therefore decides, under the letter of Imam Rada alayhi salam in some narrations, or in other narrations from the circumstances that were ensuing at that time, to leave the city of Medina and now go towards the city of Mashhad. Now, look at her important role. She didn't stop just reciting hadith and teaching people in the city of Medina. The narrations state that she now began to move through different cities of Hijaz She would move through different cities of Iraq, and at every station that she would stop at, she, with the title of being Bint Rasulillah and Bint Amir al-Mu'mineen and Bint Fatima al-Zahra, salamullahi ajma'een, she now has the role of being able to impart different ahadith to people outside of the city of Medina. And the Banu Abbas, the people of Noor, began to see that she's having a huge influence on every single city that she's moving. And so they try and maneuver her pathway outside of the cities of the Shia cities, because they were seeing that the Shia were now gathering, and the influence that she was having on the different cities of the Tashayyu was becoming very heavy. She passes through her father's grave in the city of Baghdad. And subhanAllah, she goes to visit Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam in the city of Baghdad, and she recites Fatiha there, and she spends a good amount of time in the city of Kadhim. En route towards Mashhad, where she is yearning now to see her brother in Mashhad, her tribe or her caravan that she is leaving with is ambushed. Is ambushed by secret police of Ma'mun at that time. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala. Ali, do you have my sound and video? Because it froze for me for just a moment. Okay, so thank you, sir. So, Sayyeda Masooma now, on her pathway towards Mashhad, she now passes through Iraq and she enters into Iran. The name of Sawe. Sawe till today exists. So, in the next few weeks, in the city of Qom, all of the pomegranates of Qom will come from the city of Sawe. It's a city very close to Qom, maybe about 10 farsakh, about 55 kilometers from the city of Qom. Her caravan that she was traveling with, some of her brothers from different mothers, Banu Hashim, other women folk in her caravan, they were ambushed by the secret police of Ma'mun because of her influence that she was having from city to city, entering into the precincts of Mashhad. It is narrated in some narrations that Sayyeda Fatima Al-Masooma, this great lady of knowledge, influencing, having a network of people around her, she is offered some sweets to eat that had been poisoned. You have to remember, for each city that she was going to, she was having a great form of reception from different Shia cities that she was going to. When she reached the city of Sawe, some of the narrations state that just like the previous weeks that she was being received by different people, bringing her gifts, bringing her food, bringing her halawat, that in this city of Sawe, a lady was paid to put the poison inside her food. And unfortunately, she ends up eating that halawiyat that has been poisoned, and slowly the illness now starts to take over her body. In that same location, her caravan is ransacked by bandits, by secret police of Ma'mun, and many, up to 22 different members of her caravan are slaughtered and are made shaheed in that area. At that moment in time, when she realizes that this is now going to be the end of her life and her demise is now nearing, she tells the remaining people of her caravan that are in the city of Sawe that how far are we from the city of how far are we from the city of Qom? Now, putting into context what we mentioned earlier, the city of Qom was already a city that Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam had said, this is our city, this is her grandfather. She said, take me to the city of Qom, whereby I can have a sanctuary from amongst our Shia. I can have a sanctuary amongst the people that love us, the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam. And it's at this moment that Fatima Al-Masooma was taken to the holy city of Qom, and the same Ash'ari tribe of the Shi'as that came from the city of Kufa welcomed the holy granddaughter of Rasulullah and Amir al-Mu'mineen and Fatima al-Zahra sallallahu alayha into the city of Qom. And which tribe? The tribe of the Ash'ari. They welcome her and they take her to what we call today Baytun Nur, the place, the house of light, where she rested for 17 days. Brothers and sisters, the reception she got when she entered the city of Qom was like no other. Till today, just 17, 18 days ago, in the city of Qom, they still have a rasm, they still have a sunnah, a sort of, how do I say it in English? They have a culture where they've developed that 17 days prior to the 10th Rabi al-Thani, a whole procession ensues from the locals of Qom, and they come out with sweets, and they come out with flowers, and they come out with drums and big flags, and it is in honor and respect, in commemorating the day that she entered into the city of Qom al-Muqaddasa. Allahu Akbar. She's entered with such honor and fervor and with such respect, and she's given a place to stay in the city of Qom. And it is at this moment in time whereby her illness begins to take over, and she thereafter leaves this holy world as a shaheeda. She'd been poisoned. As the hadith says, "Ma minna illa masmumun aw maqtul." That there's none amongst us that either they are poisoned or they are made shaheed. And therefore she is buried in the holy city of Qom. Now, amazingly, the riwayat that come afterwards that teach us about Sayyida Masooma's maqam and her station, one of the ways that we can learn from her station is that of Imam Rada alayhi salam, where he says in the famous line in her ziyarah, Ya Fatima, ishfa'i li fil jannah. Imam Rada alayhi salam says to his sister, Sayyida Masooma, he tells his companions, when you go to the city of my sister, say the following line, Ishfa'i li fil jannah, fa inna laki 'inda Allah sha'nan min ash-sha'n. Ya Fatima, oh my dear Fatima Masooma, intercede in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on my behalf in order for me to enter into Jannah. One of the practical things that you can do in the city of Sydney, apart from learning the knowledge of Ahlul Bayt like Sayyida Masooma has taught us, apart from loving that which is good and hating that which is evil, apart from adopting all of the ideological traits that Sayyida Fatima Al-Masooma and Imam Rada alayhi salam taught us, one of the practical things that you can do in the city of Sydney today and tonight is to recite the small ziyarah of Sayyida Fatima Al-Masooma. I inshallah will be reciting the ziyarah straight after this majlis on behalf of all of you brothers and sisters in the city of Sydney, especially in IHIC, because all of you have a special place in my heart, and I really mean that. And inshallah I'll be reciting the ziyarah on your behalf. But that is one of the practical things that you guys can do. And you'll see in the ziyarah how many beautiful lines Imam Rada alayhi salam has placed for us. One of the lines is this, Ishfa'i lana fil jannah wa ishfa'i li fil jannah. Why is it that Sayyida Masooma can do that? Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam and Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam and Imam Rada alayhi salam has said, I'm paraphrasing, but for example, Man zaraha arifan bihaqqiha falahu al-jannah. Whoever visits Sayyida Fatima Masooma, knowing her status, knowing what type of rank she has in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for that person is Jannah guaranteed. Falahu al-Jannah. Man zaraha arifan bihaqqiha falahu al-Jannah. Or in another narration from Imam Rada alayhi salam, Man zaraha kaman zarani. Whoever visits her has visited me. Now listen to this. Whoever visits Imam Rada alayhi salam is as if they have visited Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at his arsh. This is according to who? Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam. He prophesies, in the city of Khurasan, a part of me will be buried, my son will be buried. Whoever visits him is as if he visits Allah Azza wa Jalla. And that's why in the ziyarah of Imam Rada alayhi salam, we say the following, Bismillah, wa billah, wa ilallah, wa ilabna Rasulillah. Allahu Akbar. I begin in the name of Allah. By the means of Allah's power, I go towards Allah and I go towards the son of Rasulullah. Allahu Akbar. Movement towards Imam Rada is the same movement as going towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? Because that which Rasulullah and Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam take us towards, that movement going towards Rasulullah and Ahlul Bayt is the same channel, is the same movement towards what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us. And that is the great station of this holy lady, Sayyeda Masooma, Salamullahi alayha. Please recite salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali. One of the final things in the ziyarah that we recite in her ziyarah, and please, brothers and sisters, if you do recite it, pay attention to this line. It says the following. It says, "Oh Allah, I ask you for happiness and I ask you for a good ending. And takhtamali bis sa'ad. Ya Allah, I ask you to seal my life and my ending of my life on sa'ad, on a good, happy ending. I.e., Ya Allah, I ask you to allow me to die on the path of Iman." That is one of the main du'as that we recite in the ziyarah of Sayyeda Masooma salamullahi alayha. And this, brothers and sisters, is one of the key things our ulama have told us as well. If you want a du'a to recite, recite a du'a that includes this, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provides for us a good ending. And this is just as a humble advice from a brother to another brother and sister, and that is the dua number 11 of Sahifat Sayyeda. It's very nice and small, it's very compressed, concise, but it's all to do with giving the tawfiq from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we gain the tawfiq from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have a good ending to our life. And we don't know where we're going to be in the next year, in the next 6 months, in the next week, in the next day even. What's important is that Allah gives us iman and yaqeen, and that allows us to pass away on a good ending in our life. And this is something very practical that every one of us can implement. Dua number 11 of Sahifat Sayyeda. If I'm not mistaken, it's dua number 11. Let me just double make sure before I move on from this point. Yes, dua number 11. Okay, so this is something, it'll take less than 2 minutes to recite, but so powerful. And this is from Imam Al-Masooma. Brothers and sisters, you have to remember one thing, that this is the day that Sayyeda Masooma sallallahu alayhi became a shaheeda in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But let me draw you a parable. Sayyeda Fatima Al-Masooma was traveling towards the Imam of her time. She was moving towards the Imam of her time, physically and metaphysically. You and I have no Imam right now physically to see, but we can move towards our Imam metaphysically. Because the best and most beloved time to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as according to Imam Sadiq, is the time whereby you and I are without an Imam, yet we're able to maintain our deen, yet we're able to maintain our taqwa, yet we're able to maintain our commitment to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, one of the first riwayah he mentions in Kitab al-Kafi, Babul Ghaiba or Bab fi Nadir al-Ghaiba, is this line, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's most beloved time to his servant is when they're able to maintain their deen, especially with the social media onslaught and the way that the lifestyle has changed for us in the West. If we're able to maintain our deen without the Imam of the time, that is the most beloved time. Sayyida Masooma was traveling towards the Imam of her time. Physically, she couldn't be there, but at least metaphysically, she was moving. And she passes away from this temporary abode without seeing her holy brother, Imam Rada. Do you know how difficult that is for a regular sister to be far away from her brother, that she's not able to see him, and that she passes away without being able to see him? Now, raise that another level higher. How difficult it must be for a sister to not be able to see an Imam Ma'soom before passing away. Raise it a level higher. Do you know how difficult it is for a daughter of an Imam to be able to not be able to see her brother before passing away? Now take it a level higher. Now look at the very status and maqam of Sayyida Fatima. Someone who had been given knowledge, who was disseminating knowledge to the Ahlul Bayt, who knew the status of her brother. She was not able to visit her brother before passing away. But I turn to our holy lady Sayyida Fatima Al-Masooma and I say the following: Ya Sayyidati wa Ya Mawlati, you passed away without seeing your brother. That was very difficult for you. That was a very difficult moment for you. And inshallah, Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what reward you had and what reward you were given for the love that you had for your brother. But Ya bint Rasulillah, when you entered the city of Qom, I say to you that you entered with respect and you entered with honor and you were given this love and dedication in spite of your illness. Ya Sayyidati wa Ya Mawlati Ya Fatima, Ya Fatima Masooma. I ask you the question. When the daughter of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam was entering into the city of Kufa, when she was entering into the city of Kufa, where Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam had been ruling there as the Imam, as the Khalifa, what disrespect did they give to you, Ya Sayyida Zainab, Ya al-Masa'ib? What disrespect they show to you in the city of Kufa? What disrespect did they show to Imam al-Sajjad alayhi salam in the city of Kufa? One of the great scholars of Najaf, Marhum Na'ini, he was listening to a majlis when he heard the name of Zainab al-Kubra and Ibn Ziyad in the same sentence. He said, oh man, please stop. You've said the name of Zainab al-Kubra and Ibn Ziyad in the same area, in the same location. This is enough for us a musibah for me. Sayyida Zainab salamullahi alayha, the disrespect shown to her, Ya Fatima Masooma. It didn't stop in the city of Kufa, it continued in the city of Sham. Ya Fatima Masooma, when you entered into the city of Qom, narrations state that the tribe of Ash'ari, they threw flowers on you, they threw rose water on you, they threw perfume on you. They welcomed you as the daughter of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. But I ask you, Ya Fatima Masooma, in the city of Sham, they replaced rose petals with stones. They replaced this perfume with fire. They would mock the people of Banu Hashim to the extent that when Sayyida Zainab and the women folk of Bani Hashim, they were made to sit in an area whereby the roof was exposed. Allahu Akbar, the historian narrates that the young daughters of Zainab al-Kubra that were under her guardianship, they said, oh Ammiya, oh Ammatiya Zainab, they have placed us in the city, in this place, this ruins. It looks like the walls of this place is going to fall on us. We are so scared that we will die from this place. It is said that the prisoners, the prison guards of that time, they began to laugh and mock at Imam al-Sajjad and Sayyida Zainab salamullahi alayha. They said in their own Aramaic language, they said, these women folk are crying because they think they're going to be killed because of this wall falling. Just wait until what Yazid does to them tomorrow. Ya Allah, عظم الله أجورنا عظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم. أجرك الله يا صاحب الزمان. This was the pain and disrespect that the women folk of Zainab al-Kubra and Imam al-Sajjad alayhi salam had to go through. But I take it one step further and I say, Ya Sayyidati, Ya Mawlati, Ya Fatima, you did not see the pain of your brother passing away in front of you. On the 10th of Muharram, La yawm ka yawmik ya Aba Abdillah. Imagine the scene. Sayyida Zainab salamullahi alayha is bidding her final farewell to Imam al-Hussein. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam comes to the tents of Banu Hashim and he says to them, alaykunna bis salam. Hada salami. This is my salam to you. This is my last salam to you, oh the ladies of Banu Hashim. They began to kiss Imam al-Hussein. They began to cuddle Imam al-Hussein. Imam al-Hussein is looking at Zainab and he begins to exit the tent. When he exits the tent, he sees a young woman, Sukaina, sitting at the tent crying. He says the famous lines to Sukaina. He says, Ya Sukaina, do not burn my heart while the ruh is still inside my body, Ya Sukaina. There is going to be much time for you to cry for me, Ya Sukaina. He embraces Sukaina at the tender age of 10 years of age. He bids farewell to Sukaina. He rides his horse. As he's beginning to walk into the battlefield, he hears the line that breaks the hearts of all the Shia of Fatima to Zahra. Mahlan, Mahlan, Yabna Zahra. When Zainab Salamullahi alayha wished to gain the attention of Imam al Hussein, she used the blessed name of her mother Fatima. Be patient, O the son of Zahra. I have a wida', I have a wasiyah for you. Imam al Hussein alayhi salam mounts the horse. It comes down from his horse that he had mounted. And Zainab Salamullahi alayha says, allow me to execute my wasiyah on behalf of my mother. She brings the chest of Imam al Hussein clothes and she kisses the chest of Imam al Hussein. Then she kisses the neck of Imam al Hussein and she turns to Medina. She says, oh my dear mother, Ya Zahra, today I have executed the wasiyah on your behalf. Imam al Hussein alayhi salam turns to Zainab. She says, oh my dear sister Zainab, what is this will that you have executed? She said to him, Ya Aba Abdullah, my dear mother Fatima told me a day will come where the neck of yours will be pierced 12 times by the daggers of the enemy. And as for your chest, this will be the place where the enemy of Allah will sit on the chest of Imam al Hussein. So I wish to bid you farewell by kissing these two places of your body. Allahu Akbar, we're seeing the scenes of today of different bodies being killed, people being brought out from the rubble, people's limbs being people's limbs being hurt and injured. But brothers and sisters, all of the people being killed today, they have people around them to give them a ghusl and a kafan. And brothers and sisters, the bodies of most of these people are intact. But la yawm ka yawmik ya Aba Abdillah. On the 10th of Muharram, not only did Zainab see her brother's body on the plains of Karbala, she saw a body where the hooves of the horses of Banu Umayyah had been trampling on the body, a body where limbs had been cut away, a body that had been injured from the horses of Banu Umayyah, to the extent that Zainab Salamullahi alayha, when she's passing through the battlefield, she comes to the body. She says, Anta akhi ya Hussein, is this really your body, ya Aba Abdullah al-Hussein? اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. Raise your hands, brothers and sisters, on nights like this, on the wafat, on the shahada of Sayyeda Al-Masooma. We take her as a wasila from us towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we say the following lines to ease the heart and to soften the heart of our holy Tawf Imam in days like this. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء 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 بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.